Hey everybody, this week I'm going to be taking you on a tour of all the outside space on my new property. Along the way I'll be telling you plans I have for some of these spaces for the future and what I hope to accomplish. I hope you follow along. Welcome to the property tour. I'm just going to go around one side and then I'll take you to the back and then we'll go around the other side. So I did want to show you this space before the tiny house was here, but unfortunately things were crazy. So it is what it is, and you'll see it with the tiny house here. It is not in its finished spot yet, but for now it'll have to do. Unfortunately, a little bit of damage happened in bringing it over, but honestly, with some of the things that happened with that driver, I'm pretty lucky that the damage wasn't a lot worse. There is another driveway over there, so when this is eventually set up for Airbnb, that will be the Airbnb driveway. I will obviously clear it and get it set up a little bit more nicely. That is a future Sarah project. Over here we have the chicken coop and the chicken run. They're all, everything is kind of in this sort of condition. So there's a lot of cleanup that's happening right now inside. And then obviously once it's not winter anymore, I'll turn my attention to cleaning up outside. Oh, look at that little bird's nest. Oh, that's cute. So this is the coop. It's obviously just being used as storage. There are these nesting boxes down here. There's some hoses and stuff in here. Like I said, a lot of this is just going to have to be cleaned out. I am kind of excited about this window because I may try to make a recycled window greenhouse down the line. I have windows in the house that I want to switch out that are similar to this, and so I might be able to use them all to create a greenhouse. I'm also really excited about this slab. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with it quite yet, but I love that it's here. The table in my tiny house is a slab like this that I sanded and sealed and made look really cool, and the tiny house I had in the States also had that as a kitchen counter. Same thing, I had sanded it and refinished it, gotten it all ready, so I'm excited to kind of continue that trend here without having to spend any money on it. This, I think, is a stainless steel sink, which eventually what I'd like to do is get that so that it's hooked up to a water, like rainwater collection barrel, and I can use rainwater to do some rinsing. Again, obviously tons of cleanup needs to be done, and this is a good example. So this is the chicken run, and probably what I would like to do is take this side off and extend it a bit, maybe even into this brush. I can clear some of this brush. My property line is way back there where that fence is, so I actually have quite a lot of space that I could expand it. I could also clear up over here and expand it that way a bit. So anyway, I don't have plans to get chickens right now, but since I have the space, I would like to get them eventually. I'll probably only get like six or seven. I don't want a ton of chickens. I'm not going to do like professional chicken stuff. And then this is the shed. I'll give you a tour of that another time. Obviously, again, lots of stuff to be cleaned up around here. If we come all the way in the back, there's a better shot of the fence. More stuff to be cleaned up. And then back here is the backyard. So this fence is not my property line. It's actually the line to the backyard, and I'll take you back there. And this is the front of the shed. I think I will just show it to you now since we're here. So the shed actually has power, which is nice. So this is going to turn into probably a workshop space of some kind at some point. I would like to get it a little bit more sealed in, but it's got really nice workbenches, and this is one of the newer things on the property, so it's still in pretty good shape. I may even insulate it with some board insulation so that I can do more work out here in the summer too. Yeah, so that is this little workshop. It's also just kind of really cute. It almost kind of looks like a giant version of like Snoopy's doghouse or something. Let me back up a little bit. See, it's really cute. Okay, over here we have the side yard, and this is its own little fenced off area. And listen, since I was a kid, I've always wanted potbelly pigs, and I'm not saying that I could just stick a potbelly pig in here. I think a lot would need to happen in order to keep a potbelly pig in here, but I am saying that maybe I can have potbelly pigs. These would be pet pigs. I'm not going to eat them. I'm not going to let other people eat them. But it could happen. Okay, so this is the backside of the potential pig pen. And again, I wouldn't just throw pigs in there. I don't know that much about pigs. I need to learn a lot, etc. I just think the space could lend itself to that. There is a wood furnace in the basement of my house that is not usable or safe, but there is also all this wood, so I'm hoping to get one that is safe at some point so that I can utilize all this nice wood. This is what was a dog pen for the previous owner's 7 to 10 German Shepherds. There's a little window view into the basement. Down there. So this space will need to be completely cleaned out. Like it's disgusting in here. It wasn't cleaned out at all. And then we walk through here and we're in the backyard. And this is all fenced in. There is a part of the fence back in that corner that's not doing super well, and all the fencing is a bit old, but I love the idea of having raised bed gardens back here because it's already fenced in, which would help make it more safe from deer. If you look over the fence, these seed heads, the fluffy looking ones, are all fireweed. Really excited about that. I love both Ivan Chai and fireweed jelly. They're things that I often forage for, so it's nice to have some on the property. You can see his dogs used these different little pathways that are carved out here, but there's a lot of space for raised beds, and a lot of these plants are not things that I would necessarily keep. Like, I'm excited to see what they are come spring, the ones that I'm not sure about, but they're not necessarily things that I care to keep, so I don't mind clearing them. That being said, over here on this side of the backyard, there are more fireweeds and also a bunch of roses. Obviously the roses are interspersed with other things, but you can see that there are rose hips on a lot of these, which means that there are quite a few roses interspersed. So here's the other side of the fence. You can see that this goes all the way back to that fence back there. And then around the corner, there's more rose hips, other things interspersed, fireweed, and you can see the fence line back there. So I think it turns out actually that that fence line is not the property line. It actually goes a little further into the woods, but this is bear country. So I don't really mind having a fence, just in case. Not that a bear wouldn't come barreling through that fence. I'm not that naive, but I do think that just a physical barrier might be helpful, especially in spring when they're really hungry. There has been bear activity here recently. Some people were attacked, and then the conservation officers did end up finding, I think, 4 bears that they've relocated, which seems a little late in the year to me, but you know, times they are changing, so that's kind of how things go. There are a lot of logs back here, so I think I'll be able to use some of these to build some beds that are similar to the beds I had at my old place. If you've been following along, you probably saw my log beds. So I'll use some of this for that. And then I will probably end up having to buy some stuff for raised beds as well. There's just not as much forest on this piece of property. So I don't know that I'll be able to forage everything I need for the number of raised beds I want to put in. Going to the other side. Excuse the deck. I have been here a few weeks now, I guess 2. So I've been furiously working on house things inside. I am very anxious to get outside and work on outside things, but I do need to get the space livable first. This deck is definitely going to have to come down. I am thinking about doing a paver patio situation instead of a deck like this, just because it's very, very wet here. And I think something like that might have a longer lifespan than the wood. But we'll see. That is a spring project. These beds will likely come out, but I'll probably put something similar back in their place. So this is on my property as well. Goes all the way back. And into those trees. This is the outside of the backyard and the dog pen. You can kind of see the neighbor's house through there, but nobody actually lives in that house right now. So there's a lot of privacy for that. A lot of this I'll probably take out. I want to see what some of it is in the spring, but I think I'll probably be taking a lot of it out. There's quite a bit of open space here, which will be nice. And then my property does go back into the woods a bit, probably to that first fallen log, maybe even the second one actually. Either way, I am probably able to saw those logs for raised beds as well. So we'll see what happens as far as enough usable resources to build my own without having to buy anything. Obviously there's another large mess towards the front of the property here. Like I said, I'm focusing on the inside of the house at the moment, so I'm trying to just keep this part out of my mind, which is challenging because it is really an eyesore, but I will get around to it all in good time. And I'll be taking everything to the dump. I've already taken 3 trips to the dump since I've been here, and the dump's only open 2 days a week, so you have to plan your trips to the dump. Somewhere in all of this, I believe there are, well, maybe even here. No, not here. I don't know. Somewhere on the property that I don't really see evidence of, which is strange, but Supposedly there are some very fruitful blackberries, so I'll be looking for those to pop back up. We've got snowberries here, which are fun to see. There are a lot of logs that have obviously been cut down. Look at the ice that's just hanging out in there. It's really cold here. Got some oyster mushrooms here. Some giant turkey tails here. There's a bunch of other mushrooms over around this side. Here's some frozen turkey tails. A lot of these are older and not in very good shape anymore. Not good enough shape to use for anything, but I will keep an eye out on them for next year. Most of these logs do have turkey tails. And then over here, this is obviously a burn pile, but there's a lot of pretty cool mushrooms. Some of these bigger ones are dying off now, but super cool big mushrooms. So it'll be fun to see what mushrooms pop up next year when I can pay more attention to their full life cycle. Here's a little guy. Yeah, I hope you'll follow along with me. I'm going to be doing a foraged wreath for next week's video. I'm pretty excited to just use things from the property. I'm not going to forage off the property, just all things here. So yeah, I hope you'll be interested in following along with me as I update things. I'll be doing updated house tours as I get things done room by room, and I look forward to sharing it with you.